Alright. You could all hear me, I think? Yeah. Yeah, I think this is working. Hey, everybody. I'll adopt you, Jad. Are you going to continue Bunk Chronicles? No, sorry. That's just not on the, it's not on the cutting mat anymore, the cutting board anymore. The chopping board? It's been on the chopping board, that's why it's not being done anymore. Yeah, I knew I'd find that analogy somewhere. Love the content, man. Streams are great. Thank you, Rad. Monkey cameo in Confinement 8. The monkey cameo for the one monkey that's out there. I can't wait. I think there might actually be a monkey in this episode, but I can't remember. I feel like that's something I would have done. I think there's... I'm not gonna spoil it. No, sorry. No, I won't spoil the possible monkey sighting in episode 8. Okay, this isn't spoilers, so you don't have to worry about it, because there's absolutely no context you have for what's going on here. All you can see is there's a bunch of pipes, essentially. And I'm gonna continue to put my wobbly little hands to use on these pipes. Thank you, Ivy. I appreciate that. Hope you're doing well, man. It's 4 AM. I need to sleep. Best of wishes. Good night-ish. 07. You have a good night, ND Fire. There's some nice comments in here. Thank you all so much. What was your inspiration behind the Plague Doctor design in the thumbnail? I don't know. I just had an idea for him. The biggest thing for me was giving him the backpack, because that made him a little different from just like the spooky figure in a robe who is where he's meant to be. It's like a guy who is always prepared to get his medical equipment out at any point in time, which I think is just funnier, that he carries around a huge leather satchel full of his insanely antiquated alchemical medicinal tools. And somehow that changed the character entirely for me, from my perception of him. Hail Satan. Hail Satan. Hey, hope you're well. Are you still trying to deal with that one streaming site? Thank you so much, but nah, that's all over and done with. And it's all over. I could have done it. I could have dealt with it better, but I was at a weird place and time mentally. How have you been, comrade? Not bad, not bad. I'm gonna sub right now. You're the best. Well, thank you. I haven't really done anything, but thank you. But I guess that's not why we sub. I decided to put a future funk playlist on instead of the usual lo-fi, so the energy might be a little more upbeat, you know, unless I start smoking, in which case I'll let y'all know. Confinement is back now. I live your live streams. Confinement's always been back. It hasn't left anywhere. Don't worry. I've been working on it this whole time, except for the holidays. I was taking a break. It officially only really started coming back. How long ago? Like 4 or 5 months ago now. No, like 6 months ago, 6 or 7 months ago now. When was... No, it would have been 4 months ago, actually, now that I think about it. Because my mental health started getting better, so I just got right back on there. Just because I decided to stream me working on confinement doesn't mean I wasn't working on it the whole time. I notice you, Adam Janicki, saying Pog. It's kind of random who I notice because of how fast this chat is sometimes. I haven't played Battlebook, Theater, or Castle Crashes, sorry. 1 month for you is 1 hour. I don't know what that means. Are you trying to say I'm some kind of deity that lives outside of space and time? I appreciate it, though. These lines are not going to be really easy to do. They're gonna be wobbly. They're always gonna be wobbly, but that's how I've always worked with it. In the old confinement, I used to use a special tool to make the lines perfectly straight or perfectly like curved in the way that I want it to be. But I don't actually find that as inspirational as just letting your wobbly hand take the lead and design everything. Especially with backgrounds and stuff. I want there to be a natural wobble to it. I don't want it to be perfectly straight anymore. Whoa, hey, Paragon123, thanks for the $5. Man who invented the Pringles can was buried in one. Is that true? Man. A lot to think about today. A lot to think about. Are you drawing with a mouse? No. The wobbly lines make them feel more alive and interesting to look at, to me. Thank you, Alexis. Yeah, you get it. There's a, before abstract art, well, before we invented cameras to take photos of people, so many artists were only valued based on their ability to perfectly recreate very accurately how things look from a certain point of view. Which excludes people who, first of all, don't literally see the world in straight lines because they, for whatever reason, actually see the wobbles. Me being one of those people. I can't see straight lines. If I look at them for too long, they begin to wobble into this jellified mist. And it's a lot of fun. I love it. But also, why is one point of view more valid than the other? And you could argue that one creates more results, like one creates more accurate physical results for, you know, providing instructions for people to do their jobs or whatever, or to keep them safe. But art isn't about that, so why do people get so anal about what's good art and what's bad art? There is no bad art, there is no good art, there's just art. It's true, his last wish was to be cremated and then buried in one when he was 89. I'm not even gonna Google it, I just believe you. Speaking of perfectly straight, are you? No. I am everything. I am non-binary, he, them. I am polysexual, pansexual, whatever the fuck. If I find a way to achieve some sustainable form of happiness mutually with somebody else, or more than one person, then why the fuck would I say no? Because it's wrong to date multiple people? You know what I mean? I'm not dating multiple people though. Just one right now. Is it good while saying my Polish name? Janiki? Da Vinci? That's all I was thinking when I said it. Da Vinci? It's always the down-to-earth people who are the best kind of people, and you, my man, are one of them. Oh. Don't inflate my ego like that. I appreciate it though, you know. Choke me? What software are you using to draw right now? GIMP. I don't remember what version of GIMP this is. Probably the latest version. GIMP is just like a GNU image manipulation program. It's just Photoshop but free, and you can just download all of the updates, the add-ons to it for free because it's just open source. Everybody just piles in, makes it. A friend of mine showed it to me in high school because I didn't want to buy Photoshop and I wanted to get into digital art, but poor, so, and didn't know how to torrent. How's your day been, Bung? Hey, Sarah. I think that's you. I almost forgot your YouTube username. How's my day? My day's been really good, actually. Got a bunch of errands to do. The whole time I was just jamming out to like the same funk song the whole day. So, yeah, that was fun. You know, usually on a more anxious day, I'd be almost like, why? I shouldn't be listening to the same song. That sounds unhealthy. But fuck did an unhealthy person know, you know what I mean? Like, if you are unhealthy, who are you to determine what is healthy and what is not? You know what I mean? How can you trust your own ability? So you go to a doctor, but then they go by a certain standard based on their life. You don't know how loyal they are to the objectivity of health, if there is such a thing. And, like, I went to a doctor once because I decided to give up caffeine and for a while. And and he didn't even know about caffeine addiction. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? You know, there's a doctor. There's always meant to be a doctor in every town, city, and village, whatever, in society, right? At least for most of them. So there's a chance that, I mean, really, what are the chances that they're all good? And apparently mine didn't know about caffeine addiction, and that's exactly why I went in there for, like, hey, the side effects of this caffeine addiction are really fucking me up, fam. Can you please help me out? And he's like, caffeine addiction? What? You crazy millennials and your meta. And he got all defensive. He was just like, I drink coffee every day. I don't feel addicted. What am I supposed to do? But I got over it without help from the doctor. And the lesson here isn't to not trust your doctors. Your lesson here is that don't treat your doctors like a cult leader, like a god, because they are also just human beings who also kind of fuck up. You know, take their advice, do what works for you, but if it's very clearly not working for you because of how complicated and intimately you are aware of your life, how unique it is, and all the other factors are, then you also have to trust yourself, you know? Side effects, I just can't get out of bed. Well, that was one of them. Headaches, I got these weird new headaches just all the time. Very low energy, irritable, dizzy. My ability to function was completely just in a fog, but because I was very aware of it the whole time, I experienced it differently from if I were to have experienced it a year ago, where I would have just been a real bitch about it. Is Natalie going to be in confinement? Of course. They're a character, aren't they? It's not like Natalie did anything to get cancelled on Twitter or whatever. It's just... They're a fictional character. Come on. Doctor, like a professional like professions that solve problems use Google more than we'd like to think. Yeah, my doctor literally just Googles, uh, uh, like right in front of me in his office. I'm just like, oh, okay. And it's not a big deal because, like, you know, maybe you need a refresher, or maybe you have a sort of general knowledge that can be applied to the general knowledge that you see in the Google, and apply it in a way that's completely out of context to us. Obviously, they know more about doctoring than me, but because doctors get things right, it also means they also have to get some things wrong. Because they're humans. Nobody is more human just because they know things on an academic level. Doesn't actually mean anything, really. It just means you are able to pass the academic tests given at the academic level. It doesn't mean that you're able to communicate with humans in a way that is effective and intimate, or in any way that gets people to even want to open up and talk about their physical and mental vulnerabilities, which is why you go to the doctors in the first place. And yet so many doctors act cold, as if, like, well, you came here, so if you don't feel like you can tell me, it's your fault. Oh. Ipsa Scientia Potestas. Love your content. Thank you, Ipsa. Thank you for the £10. I want to donate, but my mom doesn't let me. It's okay, Gabriel. I appreciate the thought. How much do you change about your voice when you are recording for Connor? I have to sort of tune into a more depressed version of myself. And I haven't been depressed in a long while, so it's not as easy as it used to be, but it's not that hard either. It's just I just have to tune into a bunch of memories. And that would be upsetting if I didn't trust myself to be able to understand that these are just memories and I don't have to relive them. But for people who don't have that luxury, I don't recommend it. If you have PTSD, don't tune into... I mean, do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But there are consequences to just, like, messing around with your mental state. You know, you have to do it for a passion, a reason. You have to be focused about it if you want to be able to do that. So, and I also just changed my accent. Like, I don't speak an American accent in real life because I'm not American. I only speak an American accent for confinement because Connor is American. But I love the excitement in your voice when you notice me in the streams. That's a mega pog. Oh. Yeah, I always love seeing my little friends in here. I'm just sent for good vibes because I'm broke. I feel that. What would you like for Christmas? Good vibes. Yeah. If people literally just send me messages on Christmas saying, I'm sending you good vibes for Christmas, I would still be happy. Logic Crash, I have no idea what you're talking about. This poor girl, that poor girl, who is this poor girl? I don't know. Also, if you want my opinion on it, why would you already decide who was the victim and the villain in this scenario? That sounds like you already want me to have a certain opinion, I think. Oh yeah, rip Pog. Yeah, rest in peace, Pog. It's even worse than Tobuscus. Well, no, actually, Tobuscus probably was. Oh, you don't have to do that, Eddie the Pro, but I appreciate it. I'm unsure how I got to this point without knowing you voiced Connor. I can never tell when people are joking when they say that, but it sounds like you're serious. Which is real funny to me. Oh, I'm glad I chose this music. I didn't realize how Japanese future funk sounded. Or rather, I didn't realize that funk and Japanese music have a very intimate relationship. But I guess that explains JoJo, right? There's a lot of funk in that one. Alexis! Thank you! Oh my god. Thank you for the 6969. Nice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Girl, help. I'm trying to set up a democracy, but my head of state building is under control by a man in a Viking helmet. Girl, help. Ginny, you're gonna start something here. I say that as if me, the person who was the focus of the scream, didn't just read it out loud to draw attention to it. Oops. Being gay is Pog, but being gay Bowser is Mega Pog. I'm glad that there's a Pog hierarchy. Okay, pink color. I did just read that by chance. I don't agree with that notion. Just because I don't read your comment means that I'm somehow care less about my fans. I'm drawing right now. It's really difficult to do both at the same time. Usually my streams I'm not drawing and I'm just reading as many comments as I want to read. Just because I don't read doesn't mean I don't want to read. And if I don't want to read, if I do want to not read, doesn't mean that you're less valuable of a person because of it. My accent is Australian. Not allowed to donate, sorry. It's okay, you don't have to donate. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. Oh, it's okay. I forgive you. Where did you get the name Lord Bung? At first it was just a little joke, but actually today I went to the post office and some friends from my server, I figured out what they finally sent me, and they registered me to be a Lord of Sealand, which is this micronation off the coast of the UK. So now I am literally a lord. I am Lord Bong now. It's a really cute gift. I really like it. I have it hanging up above my coat rack. Just vibing with it. Yeah, come on guys, chat isn't an attention competition, because if it was, I'd win, because my name is Blue. That's true. I've been seeing all of them. Are you in search of voice actors? Not right now, sorry. Are you waiting to post confinement when you hit 1 mil? Also, I'm glad that you take breaks and take your time. Thank you. No, I'm not waiting for anything to post this episode. I'm waiting to finish it, which is a weird way of me saying I am just working on it, and it'll be done when it's done. So, yeah. I post it as soon as it's done. You know? At the very least, I might take a nap between it being done and me posting it, especially if I work late. Sometimes I would never finish the episode and then wait a bunch of days to upload it. That sounds like hell to me. The anticipation from my end would be hell. Oh man, like, you know, like, you have so many people in my comments. Not everybody, obviously, but just a lot of people who are like, this is hell for me. I cannot wait any longer for confinement. It must be up and down. Like, how do you think I feel? Like, I loved this show so much that I made it into existence. Not to suck my own dick. I mean, you know, it was obviously inspired heavily by the SCP Wiki and a bunch of horror cartoon comedies. But they must understand that I love it too, right? And that I have this intimate relationship with it where it hurts for me to not upload it as well. But I guess who else are they going to get mad at then? You know? To deal with these raw emotions of wanting. But that's fine, that's normal. You're allowed to feel that way. Just, you know, maybe think twice before you say something. Having those feelings are okay, but, you know. Hey, is Bunk Chronicles an SCP Taboo spin-off conspiracy time? Before I even started confinement, did I do that? Make the Bunk Chronicles as a precursor, an SCP precursor. Thank you for the $2 by the way. AA Coco Demomi 25. It's okay, Pink Color. You don't have to apologize anymore. You didn't have to apologize to begin with, but it's okay. You're all good. Thank you, Paridolia. I appreciate it. E. Not the Bunk Chronicles series, sorry, as recap. Kai Tatsuo. There was a bit of a complication with that, and because the singer can't seem to upload it on her site for whatever reason, I don't feel super comfortable just posting it without her sort of understanding as to why. It's apparently just really difficult. It's hard to explain. Just watch it on YouTube. You, with your ad block on, it doesn't matter. Morning Bungus from England. Hey Jared, thanks for the £2. Might get some fish and bloody chips with that one. No, it's okay, Pink Color. You didn't know. Hey Bong, have you heard about this funny YouTube monkey boy who now is the lord of some place off the coast of UK? I think he's Australian. Slowly fighting against British colonization. I have heard of that guy. Seems pretty cool. Where can I get the gay Bowser picture you drawn? Was it in an old stream? It's probably like the only place you could get it. Are you high again? No, but I might get high later on in the stream. I mean, I might get drunk later on in the stream. Hey! Thank you, Victor Lopez, for the $5. Thank you so much. Muchos gracias. Does everyone keep talking about gay Bowser? Yeah, I have no idea. Whoa! Bob Doc, thank you for the 200 rubles. Russian rubles. How do you feel about people making dubs for confinement? A group of Russian YouTubers recently made a dub for the first 2 episodes. It's pretty great in my opinion, but I'd like to know if you approve. Well, I can't tell, aside from technicalities, I can't really tell if it's good acting or not, because I don't understand what good acting means in a certain culture and language, as opposed to the very specific flavors of English-speaking acting that I'm used to and like. That being said, morally, I think it's fine. You're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want. If you're just straight up re-uploading my videos without changing a thing, then I'm probably going to, I don't know, report it, maybe? Because that's just, like, straight up malicious. It's not even, like, you trying to be creative and helpful or whatever. Yeah. The dubs, I don't speak any of the languages, so I can't tell if they're accurate either. I just have to kind of trust that that's the case. And also, language is a bit more nuanced than that, you know. There isn't like a 100% objective translation that works all across. There are simply words that exist that don't exist in other languages. That you have to use a bunch of words to use to describe a single word. you know? Like how in English we only say love, but in Greek there are like 7 different words for love in Greek that mean different aspects and utilities for love. That's not to say that one language is more advanced than another. I'm just trying to make a point that it's extremely nuanced and complicated, and I'm not bilingual. Not anymore, at least. I was when I was little. But does that even count? Like, how many words did I know as a kid? How's Mustard Man going? Hey, Rex Scrubs, thanks for the $8. Mustard Man has gone to the bathroom, and I'm going to regret that. Thank you for the $5.49 Canadian dollars, Dicey Do. I know the same, but keep up the good work. Thank you. I assume you're going to say ain't much, but that is plenty. That is plenty. Now, because I'm on stream, these drawings are also going to be slow. Like, I usually draw a lot faster, but because I am... It's surprisingly distracting. Because when I draw, when any artist draws, they get into a place that... I'm just going to call it the zone, because I saw that movie Soul recently, and they like using that simple language. So, the zone. I can't get on the zone on stream because I'm extremely aware of the fact that loads of people are watching me. And that gets in the way of my ability to draw, but I'm trying to find a balance that is, like, good for everybody. You know? That's good for me. Sanskrit and Tamil are very profound languages. They're 50 words for water, for example. Yeah, absolutely. Hey man, it's alright. I'm just happy to be privy to the process. Thank you. Thank you, Eli. Are you physically dead? Yeah. How'd you guess? You can see that I wasn't breathing. lVjG, thanks for the £20. Best SCP content I've seen, although kudos to some of the live offerings. Dude, your animation and humor shines. Thank you. Thank you so much, lVjG. Whoa! Hey! Is that you, Lola? Or is that... Oh, the band. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, I'm reading. I'm reading now. Thank you for the $5. Hey, Lola, good to see you. We love you, Lola. Plato, Goliath, Joshua. I'm sorry, I've never pronounced that name before. Aristocles and family. Thank you so much, all of you. Check out Latre Clays. They're a band that I am using their music in this next episode and a few more episodes after that. Definitely go check them out. They're the ones that just donated $5. $4.99, I mean. Rex Scrubs, thank you for the $15. Hopefully you finish Busted Man by the end of the stream. If not, I'm gonna come back next stream and ask the same thing. Dang. It's happening. It's happening. It doesn't look old or rusted enough to be the factory. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That factory. It's not that one. Are you physically dead? Asking for a friend for sure. I haven't been drunk in over a month. I miss the green. I'm so sorry, man. Going out with the guy I dated last stream. Wait, going out with the guy I dated last stream. Were you the guy that had the... Man, I'm sorry, I can't quite remember, but I do remember your name. I'm so glad for you, though. It sounds like a good thing happened, because there's a smiley face. Was there like a relationship thing we were talking about last stream? Probably. Thank you, hello love. Sorry, recap. I'm not continuing that series anymore. Yeah, always dead. Physically always high in the zone or monkey. That's the same as dead though. It's closer to death. Names are hard when you see an average of 300 people in stream chat. It's true. Oh, but I'm trying to remember is adorable. I want to remember. There's just some things I can't remember. Connor is going to be running through the facility, and then he is going to find his way into this room, and there is going to be a badass fight scene in my guess. Ooh. Interesting. Interesting story you've created, just looking at this. Shit. Yeah, you see what I mean? Man. Hi, I'm Brazilian. Would like you to leave the Portuguese subtitles in the next episode. I don't know what you mean by leave the subtitles in the next episode. You can just turn them on and off, right? Yeah, I'm still working on confinement. Love I've ever heard. My 17 is the most British love I've ever heard. Oi, love. Hello, love. Here comes the cavalry. Will Connor end up fighting an evil version of himself later in the series? The nigger Connor. Yeah. That's all we're fighting in our lives anyway, is just the evil version of ourselves. We just project it onto the outside world and then defeat it and feel good about it because we feel like we've actually done something. And sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. Whoa, Grossamon. Thank you for the $5. Please add more monkey, like fill the screen and add funny monkey sounds. Maybe not the sounds, because I want to listen to the music. But the sounds will be very distracting. I could probably find, what's it called? Monkey music. But I need to find royalty-free monkey music, otherwise I won't be able to play it. British people. Oh no, chav time. Will the evil Connor be called Roanoke? Roanoke sounds like a fucking Norse god. Welcome to Thor, Roanoke. I'm stuck in my parents' place at the moment because somehow a COVID case made its way to Broken Hill when my sister was camping. She's okay. Holy shit, dude. Man, I hope things work out. Let me know if you need, like, financial help, Eli. Don't be afraid to ask. Because I'm doing just fine right now. Like, my state has been doing so well that I spent an hour of my afternoon talking to fucking Mormon missionaries. It was fun. It was good fun. Oh, it's the last of my money, so I hope you have a good day / night. I will stay with you all night, okay? So yeah, also your confinement series made me happy. Thank you, Dicey Doo. I hope that wasn't like the you're gonna starve lost of your money. But I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. My folks got me. Alright. Alright, that's good then. As a British person, I can confirm I am real, but I also like to explain it's half opposite day. Half opposite day. That's levels of complication I don't even want to try get to. Your art is so clean. Oh, I'm glad you think so. You know, sometimes I wonder, like, when I'm zoomed in and I'm drawing over the sketch lines that I was doing earlier, I wonder, like, did I draw these lines for a reason, or was this kind of random and it just kind of looked good when I zoom out? And I just kind of have to trust that that's the case. If it looks good when I zoom out, or if I have to change it again. That's just part of the process. Some people find it frustrating to do art because they think there needs to be a point to it. But let me tell you this, when you're doing art and you don't feel like there's a point to it, and you're just doing it and having a good time, then that is the most artsy thing you can do, is doing it for the sake of doing it. It's like when you dance. You just dance in your house for no reason. You know, maybe you're dancing with a pet, or you're just dancing by yourself to some music, or maybe you're singing. Then that's real dancing. You're doing it because you want to, not because it's your job or because it's an expectation. Or because you want to show off your dance skills, you know. Like, I'm not doing this to show off my art skills. This is actually, like, one of the least interesting pieces I could be drawing right now. Well, it's pretty interesting, actually, but just because, like, oh, look at all these pipes. How fucking messy is this place? Your lines are so clean. I don't really know what that means, but thank you. Oh, British, like it's a pun. Like I'm only half from Britain. I'm British. Like, it's pretty good. When I dance, I violate several peace treaties. Hard is good fun. I should do it more. Yeah, Kyle, you should totally do it. Just do it when it feels right, you know? The opportunity shows itself naturally throughout the day for you to do art. You don't have to have canvas or paper, pencils, whatever. You literally just do art by doing what you want throughout the day, and there's no discernible reason for doing it. That is art. It's more than art, it's living. You know, because if you really want to go like real heavy on reasons for living, and you want to find one that has objective proof, like this is the reason to live, this is the objective reason to live, you're not going to have a good time because there isn't an objective to life. There isn't an objective reason to live. And that's why, and that's what you learn through art, is that, well, that's what some people learn through art, is that it's all for fun. We're just doing it because we exist in reality, because we do. Not because this caused this and whatever. That doesn't answer the question. That's why in Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when the computer, the huge computer, has to answer the question, what is the meaning of life? She says 42 because there is no meaning of life. It's a stupid question. You know, a lot of people misinterpret that. They just think that's the literal answer is 42, and it's just silly and absurd. And it is silly and absurd. But the point of absurdity is to look at the meaningless of life and just be like, so? So what if it's meaningless? Alright, it's meaningless? Cool. I'm gonna go home and do whatever the fuck I want. I'm gonna go and call my parents and tell them I love them. I'm gonna hang out with my friends. I'm gonna spend some time by myself. Why does it matter? Why does it need to have a meaning? Why do you need to pin all of your hopes and dreams onto a singular thing in this universe? Everything in this universe vanishes, so why would you do that? Thank you for the $1, horror creator. Thank you so much. Was there a reason you discontinued Bung Chronicles? If so, do you mind sharing it? I wasn't really feeling it. I was giving myself way too much work on Bung Chronicles. I made it too big, and I gave myself too much work, and I simply wasn't ready for that kind of commitment. And confinement gave me an easy out to start something simple again. You know what I mean? Simple. And so the first episode, Confinement, had like 3 or 4 characters, and maybe 3 or 4 different sets to draw. It gave me a fresh start. That's just kind of how things work, I guess, for me. Although I do think about Bond Chronicles a lot. Life is anything you want it to be. Yeah, exactly. It is anything you want it to be, and people don't like that responsibility because they want to be told what to do. They want to be told what to believe because they don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves to be able to find their meaning of life. And that's why we so willingly give other people power, and then we get confused and scared and angry as to why they abuse that power. Well, you gave them your will, so their will be done. You know what I mean? We don't trust ourselves to be able to live in nature, for example, and so we rely on everybody who is in charge of society to tell us what to do. Minimizing suffering seems like a pretty good goal in life on its own merit, regardless of how it pans out meaning-wise. It sounds like a pretty good goal, but then who gets to decide which suffering is valid and which isn't? And then who gets to decide which is more urgent and which isn't? And who gets to decide which is more important and which isn't? Because all of these just result in a different world. There is no correct or incorrect world. There is just a world in which people who are now safe from the common cold, but because of this exact same society, they're greatly exposed to all forms of mental illnesses because we are doing things that humans aren't supposed to do, really. Or rather, things that we haven't really evolved to do. Like work fucking 8 hours a day. Like, good Christ. I used to have a capital J job, and holy shit. Fuck that noise. Humans simply are not meant to work that much. We're only meant to really work 4 hours a day. That's what we could deal with mentally. And that used to be the case before the industrial era. For thousands of years, we worked a reasonable, seasonal way in which we would work for one part of the year and rest for the rest of it. And then the Industrial Revolution came and started treating humans like poultry. And I better stop myself before I start sounding like Karl Marx, you know? Reject meaning, become cryptic. Not gonna lie, Confinement doesn't need a lot of detail. The characters is good either way. Like the first couple episodes, not much happens, but they're good either way. Yeah. You know, minimalism is good as well. If you're able to tell a story using minimalism, it's also good. I might think about that when I start working on the episode after this, because this episode has a lot. It's already had a lot, and I feel like I can't just go back now because of how much I've drawn. If you're a patron of mine and you can access the Google Drive with all of the files, fuck, it's a lot, and it's also it also implies a lot more as well, which makes it even scarier. Makes it even heavier and more detailed. And so that is basically how this episode is going to be defined, is just by how much story and how much is going to be happening in it. But then after that, maybe I'll just slow down. Because you're right, I don't need to have too much detail in there to tell a good story. I just wanted to tell more story. I wanted more people to be able to, like, really savor this thing that's taking so long to do, you know? Thanks for answering my question, Bong. Your need to, and you're super cool. Can't wait for the next episode. My favorite part was always the musical sections. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ever wonder that when you're dead, you're actually asleep, but your brain is slowly decomposing, and while it is, you're seeing all of your memories being wiped out because of the worms. Because of the worms eating your brain? Aside from the worms, I've already experienced that, so yeah. You don't have to make it sound so morbid, although it also shouldn't matter that it's morbid because it's natural. Then again, I don't know how many kids are watching this stream. I hope not a lot, because it's... I get onto some pretty heavy topics. And also confinement is not a kid's show. I feel like a minimalist style next episode would thematically work as well. Yeah, absolutely. Alright. Alright, Jad Abdo, you go to class. Watching this on my phone in IRL school. Okay. Thank you, Bradley. I hope you don't get in trouble. I like your cut, G. Thank you. I'm eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Bless you. And your sugary American treats. Oh, breakfast, sorry. I think. After you finish this episode, you take a long break, okay? I'll take a little break. I have to figure out how long is a long break. I probably have to find some kind of thing to shoehorn it in with. Like a... Alright, here comes the break. I'm gonna be taking a holiday thing to somewhere. It's almost like I have to find... I want to use up my free time. If that makes sense. Both doing things and doing nothing. Because if I'm desperately trying to fill up my free time with something, then that's no better than working. You know what I mean? It's just as stressful. Whoa, hey, this is Lola. We have so many more songs coming. Thank you so much for the shout out. You have no idea how grateful we are to be part of your work. I am very grateful to be a part of your work, essentially. By having your music in my show. And thank you for the $5, Lola. I really appreciate it. Is YouTube your main income source, or are you doing something on the side? No, I think YouTube is my main income source, actually. I do whatever I want on the side, and sometimes that results in me getting money, but YouTube is my main one, yeah. By the way, I do art as a hobby, and to be honest, I'm always super self-conscious of my work, if you could call it that. Would you have any tips for someone like me when it comes to the art field? Yeah, absolutely. We are brain hooked to bone mech. We are biomachines. The somewhere has to be Sydney. I don't make the rules. You're required to visit by law. Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely gonna come see you guys. Okay, so you said your issue was that you were very self-conscious of your work. Okay. There are a few routes we could go to deal with this. One of them being is... Can you hear the music right? Just to be clear. I mean, I can't tell you to just not be self-conscious of your work, because that's not going to change anything. It's not going to change your mind. But ask yourself, why are you self-conscious? Why is your self-value attached to you experimenting with something? Hello? Okay, cool. Alright, I'll turn the music up then. Okay. Is your self-worth attached to your ability to be successful? In which case, you have been conditioned to believe that. It's not true. It's not necessarily true. But saying it's not true doesn't change how you feel. So what you can do is that you can notice that more. Try and notice those feelings more and pay attention to them. Don't talk to them. Don't argue with them. Don't try to ignore them. Don't try to bargain with it. Don't try to control it in any way. Just let those emotions occur. And keep drawing anyway. It's really that simple. When you turn off your ability to think, you're able to do literally fucking anything. Because when you're not thinking, time doesn't exist. And it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to learn the thing. And ultimately, it shouldn't matter how long it takes for you to learn a skill. And you don't have to show anybody your work if you don't want to. Just pay attention to your feelings and you'll be able to work things out for yourself. That's what I tell people. Because truly, honestly, you are in a way more control of your life than you have been led to believe you are. That's not me just trying to be some like dopey, motivational, you know. I do mean that in a very literal way. You have so much control over your life, but we are taught to believe, and more sinisterly, to feel comfortable not having control over our lives. And so we end up in this weird place in which we complain all the time about all the things we think we don't have control over. And then you have all these people who have all these different ideas of how much control one has over their whatever, and then they get into all these political fights with each other about how much freedom we quote-unquote has been stolen from us or whatever. And in many cases it's true, but in many cases it isn't. And I think it's up to you to sort of find that out. Find out what you have control over, find out what you don't. And accept what you can't control. But if you want to draw, then draw. If it turns out that you become a good artist, then you become a good artist. If it turns out you didn't, then the fact that you want to draw, you're only ever going to be able to find out by drawing. Because if you just tell yourself, well, I'm a shitty drawer, I'm never going to draw again, but you still want to draw, then you're torturing yourself. Why would you want to do that? Or you're drawing little lines. It's supposed to be like texture for this sort of like concrete wall. Create these little indents everywhere just to kind of show that it's like rocky and in this case this is metallic. So they're just little bends and bumps in them. They're like different kinds of bumps. I learned this from well, a lot of cartoons actually. A lot of cartoons like to do this. Some cartoons like to just use color, different forms of color, different combinations of color and shading to create texture. But I like to also draw in some of it. Because I like to use flat colors sometimes for, I'm not going to be using flat colors for this, but I find that the little divots help create the feeling of texture. Everyone, you don't have control over death. Well, yeah, you should accept that part. Bung, it's dark over here, so I was wondering how do I stop being paranoid? Paranoid about what? The dark? Like what's in the dark? Man, I mean I can't, I'm not a miracle worker. But the same logic that I expressed about art, you apply that there as well. Just pay attention to those feelings. Do what they do in Dune. In Dune, there's this great line. I can't remember what word for word, but it's something like, "Let the fear flow through you and out of you." Just let it flow through you and out of you. Instead of fighting it and pushing it away and being like, no, I'm not scared. This can't be happening right now. Like, just accept it. Accept the fear. That doesn't mean think about it. That doesn't mean talk in your head or out loud about it. That doesn't mean do anything. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think anything. Just let the fear flow through you like you were the sky and the fear was a cloud. And it just goes in and it goes out you like every other feeling. It's not special. And once you see that, you actually have a much more deeper harmony and control of yourself. I've really been enjoying world building and writing a few short stories. There's a lot of forms of art. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I am the voice actor for Confinement. For Confinement? For Confinement. Fear is the mind killer. Yeah. It comes in and then it leaves. Like every feeling. That includes the positive ones as well. So just pay attention to your feelings and your thoughts when they come in. You just pay attention as if you were an observer rather than somebody trying to control the universe like you always are. Just take a seat and just look at those feelings and thoughts going inside of you. And then watch them leave. And you don't have to keep feeding it anymore. You know? Fears only get worse when you add fuel to it by thinking. And it's not to say force yourself to stop thinking because you can't do that. The closest way to stop thinking is by accepting it. Once you accept it, you're in a state of which it's not a big deal anymore. And so the emotion leaves just as easily as it shows up. But if you decide that this fear is a big deal, then it's going to be a big deal. If you decide that it's worth arguing, then it's going to stay around longer. If you decide that it's so scary that you want to push it away and ignore it, it's going to stay around longer. If you try to bargain with it, it's going to stay around longer. Just accept it. You have a fear. I am afraid of this. I am currently afraid of this. And then you move on. It's easier said than done, obviously, but, you know, there I said it. That's how it's been working for me, and it's been going quite well. Could I ask your opinion on some characters and how the story is? I really look up to you. Is it gonna be, like, really big? Because on stream, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that. Because I want to also just draw and talk to everybody. Be a conduit, not a vessel. Yeah, that's one way to put something. Fear is little baby death that leads to the big boy real-time death. I mean, all fear stems from death. That is true. But death is a natural process. Just because we fear it doesn't mean it's automatically bad. It means we fear it. That's all it means. And that's not me trying to say that you should go do risky things that might hurt and kill you, but why would you want to live your life in fear? You can accept death for what it is. It's the part that happens after you get old, or, you know, the part that happens prematurely. It's like birth. It's just a part of life. It's just a process on this infinite cycle of life. It's scary, and it's used as scary imagery and all sorts of things. But that's kind of a bias towards certain cultures. We have this cultural preference, at least me living in a developed Western country, has this cultural preference that says that death is so fucking scary and evil and vile and horrible and an insult and terrible, and we shouldn't even look at a naturally decaying body. We have to stuff up the corpse with formaldehyde and make it look like they're sleeping instead of dead. That's a cultural preference. It's not objectively true. In reality, death is just a thing that occurs in nature. It is not a good or a bad thing. It is just a thing that happens. It's a thing that's always going to happen to all of us. And so it's better to make peace with this particular current, you know? You played the Everything game? I feel like you have, but I also remember being very high, so I may have just been making that up. The Everything game is so fucking good. I love the shit out of it. You said you'll upload the episode 8 last year, just wondering when it'll be up now. Well, I didn't say I would upload it last year. I would never make that kind of promise. That would be very confident of me if I said exactly that. Unless you said it would be uploaded and I just happened to say it last year. In which case, I don't know when it's done. When this episode is done, I will upload it. I really don't know how long it's going to take. And I haven't made any promises as to how long it's going to take. And therefore I have failed keeping a promise. But seriously, I don't know when it's going to be done. No, I'm not doing that sponsorship thing. Have you seen The Midnight Gospel? Yes, love it. Love it so much. They talk about this topic as well. Accepting death. You know, people think that's so morbid of a thought. It's not. Death happens to everybody. It's not to say that if you can't think about it without getting emotional that there's a problem with you. There isn't. It's just that you have been conditioned. And that's fine. It's up to you if you want to decondition yourself or not. You could do whatever you want. There's no wrong way of living. You can be as conditioned as you want. Just be a total, like, completely reliant on the material world and its benefit risk factor method and its greedy-ish but also beautiful mix of, you know, everything that makes it. Or you can, you know, step outside of it every now and again. I personally do both. Alright, good night, Eli. Like, I live in a material world, obviously, otherwise you can't see me, and it will hear me. I do material things. I buy things that I like, I do things that I like, I do things that make me happy. But also, sometimes I step out of it, and I look at it from this completely distant point of view, as if nothing were real and everything was like a show that I was just watching. I remember who I am. You know, and who I am isn't this animator on YouTube who's making a show that he likes, although I do like making it. Who I am is this undefinable thing. It's this thing that is watching everything. And it's the same for you. I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about everybody. Every single human being has this experience of consciousness. Whether you have the intellect to express it in the way that most humans express it is irrelevant, you know? Whether you be functioning or non-functioning, you know, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. You are still experiencing consciousness. There's no incorrect experience of consciousness. When you take a step back and just look at your consciousness, well, look at yourself. Take a look at it. Take a look at the thing that is witnessing reality. You realize that it's nothing. At least it's nothing in the way that we as humans cannot define it. And that's why it exists behind all of reality. What do you think about the materialization of Christmas? I feel like a lot of people have said quite a lot about it. I don't think I'd say anything new that you wouldn't have heard. You claim to be material, but you could really be an avatar made by the singularity. Which singularity are we talking here? Because all of us are avatars from the singularity, you know, the Big Bang. Doesn't matter how long it took for us to get here. There was a singularity, then a Big Bang, and now there are millions and millions upon trillions and billions of points of reality in the universe. And some of them are so complicated that we make YouTube videos and talk to people online. that we invented on this big thing that we invented. And some of us are so not complicated that we're just sitting on a desert somewhere as a rock. But that's still a point of reality. Can you see yourself in fourth persons? I did once. That was really scary. Yeah, no, I really didn't know Future Funk was so Japanese. Not that there's a problem with that. It's a lot of fun. So people making their headcanons about SCP confinement. Have you seen those? What are your favorite? I don't have any favorites so far. There are some cute ones like Natalie and Connor having a kid. That one's pretty cute. But there are mostly just like these headcanons about how the episodes are going to be, which I'm not sure if they're headcanons or just speculations. Consciousness talk is my jam. Fuck yeah. Welcome to the stream. In the story, it only talks about dimensions. Antrix is a villain. Least favorite. Xenant is the hero. Favorite child. Antrix makes dimensions, and Xenant splits anything in existence. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I mean, you might not think anything you said had much impact, but it really did, and I wish I could emphasize this more, but I've only have 200 words to describe this, so thanks a lot. No worries. I hope you're able to figure it out. Just trust yourself that you'll be able to probably figure this out. And don't take anything in this universe seriously. Because it's just a game anyway. Humans invent rules for certain kinds of games to play, you know? Will you be a law-abiding citizen? Will you be this kind of law-abiding citizen in this country or that country? Will you be this kind of rebel? Will you be this kind of, will you be this whatever? It's all just games. You can choose whichever one you want. There is no objectively incorrect one, no matter how people want to make you feel about it. And so eventually you'll figure it out. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You'll figure it out. We all will. Fill the screen with monkey gifs. And add a monkey screeching sound, but so you can't hear it and act normally. And nobody can hear me because there's monkeys screaming. Got a dream once where I was narrating my own life, but in a third-person view as it happens. Well, something funny about that is, I can't give you a source for this. Comedian Shane Moss, he's one of those science comedians. He has a podcast where he just talks to scientists nonstop, and he makes them funny, because most scientists really aren't funny. And so, they were talking about how the brain only really acknowledges what happens in the real world after it happens by like point something seconds, 0.0 something seconds, like a ridiculously short amount. But the implication of that is that these things happen before you think about them. These things happen before you consciously choose. That's a little scary for some, well, not for me, but I can imagine that's scary for people who feel like they want to be in control of their lives in a much more intimate way, in a much more classical way. In reality, this idea of you controlling your life or your life being blown around by the winds of fate, they're both true. They're not mutually exclusive, as they say in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Fate and chance are not mutually exclusive. Because these labels, right, aren't real. They're just labels. Fate and chance. I am in control versus the universe is controlling me. What's the difference? There is no difference. Because identity isn't real either. And when you realize that, and that's what meditation teaches you, when you realize that the self isn't real, then you realize the distinction between the universe controlling you and you controlling the universe doesn't matter. Because these are just arbitrary words. We say we're in control when their outcome is desirable, and when the outcome isn't desirable, we say that somebody overcame us, or the universe overcame us, or we weren't doing good enough. I could have done it this way and I would have done better. Like, no. Doesn't matter, does it? Wait, Lord Bung is Connor. Did it not occur to you? New tarot cards win. I have a bunch on my website made by my good, very talented merch lady, Cheese Bread. If you look at the link in the description, there should be a merchandise button now. A link to my merchandise, I think I called. There are two sides of the same coin. Exactly. You having control and you being controlled are the same thing by the universe. You being in control of your surroundings and the surroundings controlling you is no difference. The only reason we feel like it's different is because there is a point of consciousness right here, you know, right there, and I'm pointing right between your eyes. And we decide that it has an identity. There's never been any evidence for an identity. It's just an idea. We're all playing this silly little game where we pretend we have identities. It's really fun, because once you notice that, the universe becomes so much funnier, because you see people get into so many fucking arguments all the time. About how so fucking passionate they are about their idea of themselves, that they must let everyone else in the world know. And I'm not laughing in a way where it's like, oh, look at how silly and stupid they are. I mean, it's just funny. It's just funny, and it's equally funny when they're having a good time. You know, except I could probably join in, have a good time with them as well. That'll be fun. But no, identity isn't real. And I'm not gonna be like these people who, you know, like, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the curse of knowledge. But it's when you learn something, regardless of how you learnt it, you suddenly are then judgmental of people who haven't learnt it. You think, well, I know it, so you should know it too. It's so easy. And you could explain it to them, and you'll probably explain it badly, probably, because you're not, you know, not necessarily a teacher. And they still won't get it, and you're like, you're so stupid. Like, no, that's the curse of knowledge. Just because you happen to be able to figure it out at that point in time doesn't mean everyone else does. So I try to remember that. But what I have isn't knowledge. You know, this knowledge, quote unquote, that we don't have an identity, it's not knowledge, it's just another perception of reality. It's just another angle, it's another dimension of reality. You know, all of reality is just perception, how you choose to look at things, what game you decide to play. And from that point of view, I am sometimes playing the game where I have an identity, and sometimes I'm playing a game where I don't. Because I think it's healthy to go back there every now and then. Well, you're either a soft determinist or a hard determinist. It's not arbitrary. Of course, nobody can live as a 100% honest and hard determinist, but it's a pretty significant distinction. No, I'm not saying... how do I put this? No, I feel like I explained it pretty well. I don't know. But then again, doesn't matter. Thank you for the 99 cents, Dicey Doo. Identity isn't real, isn't fully correct, but identity is more or less arbitrary. On one level, I get what you're saying, but on a level, take a few steps back. identity isn't real, full stop. Identity is real in that it's a game you could decide to play in reality. But it isn't real in the sense that you don't have to play it. You don't have to play it. You don't need to play it. You're not gonna die because you don't play it. You know? And even if you do die, that doesn't mean you lose, it just means you died. I don't know. I feel like some people grok me and some people are at a different they're at a different place in awakening, where it's like, I have awakened politically, and now I understand all of the corruption that's going on politically, and so everything is now in context of that level of awakening. And then some people go a step further, where they're like, gender is a construct, and and everything in their life is sort of set around that knowledge. But you can just go all the way if you want and realize that all of reality is a construct. That scares people when I say that. I don't care if you disagree with me or not. That's just, on one level, that is true. On one level, it is not true. All truths are paradoxes. That's something you have to really understand. What is the purpose of identity? Well, the purpose of identity, it only exists because it has a human purpose. We use it to assign blame or praise and redistribute things among people in a society, whether that be a really small society or a really big society. And you can tell that, the big societies we got, the more complicated our names had to be to keep up with the population rise. These are all just constructs, and they're to play a certain game in which people can get better and worse than other people, and society only really works when you have some people on top and some people down below to contrast how great the people on top are. You can't just have an entire nation of rich people. You have to have rich and poor people. That's not to say that we can't have a society without that. I'm just saying it wouldn't be called society. It'll just be, a commune or something. I merely do not understand any of this, and I don't think I want to. That's fine. I just like talking about it. I like being able to connect. Every now and then somebody in chat is like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, dude. So you're a solipsist? Let me Google that. I don't know what that is. A philosophical idea that only one's mind is sure to exist. Oh, no, that doesn't exist either. Specifically, my mind doesn't exist. Everyone else has a mind. No, I don't think everything is in a simulation. I think everything is equally real and not real at the same time. It's the best way I can explain it. I don't know how else to... I mean, there are loads of ways to explain it. I could probably think of a few. Who are we to judge what's good and bad? Exactly. It's all ideas. The majority of the things that distinguish us are only given meaning by humans. Exactly. It's all subjective. Sorry, I got lost a bit. Is the internet the same as the real world where our account is like people of their identity? Yeah, basically. Identity is supposed to be for integration into reality and social constructs. That's why some of us have multiple identities we weren't able to integrate properly. Yeah, but properly, improperly, those are terms meant to make you feel like shit. But these terms only exist in context of society. Whereas if you were just sort of all alone and you had multiple identities, for example, or if you just were the way that you were, then that's all it is. You are the way that you are. And that's where I like to sit back and realize that, oh, there's nothing wrong with me, but there's nothing great about me either. I'm just existing. And that gives me a whole lot of relief. Because I used to deal with such terrible anxiety. And now I don't take my antidepressants anymore. I'm doing so fucking good. Like a few weeks ago, I finished. Just stopped. Like, fuck this. I don't need this anymore. If you really, really, really want to ask yourself questions, and a lot of people don't like asking questions to themselves just because it's like, oh, of course, I have everything worked out, it's fine. If you really just want to like really bug the shit out of yourself with questions, you are going to find that there are no objective answers to anything. You're going to find that all things are true. You're going to find that all truths are paradoxes, and that all paradox can be brought together into a singular truth. Whatever that is. Well, not a singular truth, just kind of like everything is connected. You know, as they also say in Dirk Gently, Holistic Detective Agency, everything's connected. Sometimes your streams feel like I'm 14 and this is deep. I'd like to talk to a 14-year-old who has been a fully realized Buddha. That would be fun. Like, identity is used to assign a value or used to someone. That way you can communicate with others what you need or want, and use chemical signals assigning food identifiers and enemies. I use poop. You use poop? Yeah? Thanks, dude. Everything exists, yet not exists at the same time until observed. Absolutely. Because our only determination for when things are real is when our senses are able to experience them to a certain degree, you know? Can you hear it? Can you feel it? Can you smell it? Can you, like... Therefore, it is real. But what is real, you know? Yeah, absolutely, high weeds. As soon as you discover you can be happy on your own, it's the most free you'll ever feel. I've been sucking that teat for a while now. I was in an Uber today, and I was getting lost in a thought, and it started devolving into an argument. And then I stopped, and I realized this is just a thought. I don't need to take this seriously. And while that's obviously true, and you could say that at any point it'll be true, obviously, it's easier for me to truly feel like that when I'm in the middle of an argument in my head. And I don't really have those anymore. Not a lot of it. And when I'm able to turn it off, I get so fucking happy, because it's just like, wow, I could do that. And I'm chill. And again, you can only be happy if you experience negativity as well. Yeah, perspective can change an environment just as much as physical action. Speaking of which, there's a game that just came out that works entirely on perspective fucking tools, where you are in a dream and you can just pull, like, you can pick up something and then put it from a different perspective from where the camera is and drop it, and it'll be bigger or smaller. I can't remember what that game's called. I'm sure somebody in the chat will bring it up. Everything is or isn't ice cream. That's also true. Bung just finished writing a song. Hell yeah, Sarah! Are you gonna play it in the Discord? Because I'll be on the Discord after this. On the Discord. Oops, sorry. The idea of identity and perspective are the reason I named my story Tears of Contradiction. Well, there you go. Everything is a paradox if you want to get down on it. There are only correct and incorrect things when you create a game that lays out a list of correct and incorrect things. In which case you can say, yes, this is real, this is not real, because the game said so. But if you want to go objectively, whatever the fuck that means, if you want to be objective about it, then you have to throw out the game, realize the game might not be real, and realize that nothing might be real. And you have to do it slowly enough so you don't send yourself into a schizophrenic episode. I was lucky that I kind of got out of that without going into an episode. Just turned out well. Super minimal. Is that it? Thank you for the 279. Super minimal game. Oh, superliminal. Yeah. Yeah, that's the game. Superliminal. Yeah. I didn't finish. I haven't played that game, sorry. I just saw a trailer for it the other day and I thought it was really fucking cool. If a person is speaking for someone without being associated to the problem for who they are speaking about, do they have a right to do so when they are not a part of the problem? It depends what the person who you're speaking for says. If they say speak for me, then you are allowed to speak for them. You know, it's entirely up to that. Alright, good night, Kyle. Sometimes you gotta just monkey through the pain, I feel that. Are you a believer of Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy of pain and suffering, growth, and that we are the same when we suffer? I don't know too much about Nietzsche's view on suffering, but I do believe that suffering doesn't make us better. And I do believe that this idea that suffering makes us better comes from a super hardcore, old school, Catholic, imperial, work slave kind of attitude. Of like, huh? Well, you're suffering from all of this work that I'm forcing you through? It's all good. It's all part of God's plan. That sounds like it's an attitude that a lot of people seem to have. Even though I'm using hyperbole. But really, suffering doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you a deeper person, strictly speaking. It's not to say that suffering hasn't changed people. I mean, I changed completely because of a whole lot of suffering, but I didn't consciously go into that as a choice, and I wouldn't wish it upon anybody else. But yet I am thankful for my suffering. Only after it happened, though. And that's not to disrespect people who hurt themselves for spiritual reasons. But I'm not sure it works for me in the same way. This stream feels like I'm rewatching the Big Les show. Oh, you want the fucking Big Les show? Yeah, I'm about to smoke some funny little plants. But I'm just finished writing and recording my first original song. Link it to me, girl! I'm excited. I'm real excited. You recorded a song? So is this you and your guitar? Alright, see you, 28 the Great. Suffering doesn't make you a better person, but a different person. It does, you know? There is no better and worse person. There is just different people. And the sooner we accept that, the more accepting I think we'll be of where we are rather than where we should be, quote unquote. Should be or shouldn't be. There is no place that you should and shouldn't be on one level. On one level, you are free to do whatever the fuck you want. But if you are constantly wishing for something in the future, then you're always going to be disappointed and suffering. And just because you've realized you're in a game and that society is a game and that people telling you what to do are just people who take the game too seriously. That doesn't mean be shitty to them, because if you truly understand that this is just a game, then you'd respect that they were playing the game. You'd respect that game, unless they were encroaching on you and, you know, the fact that you're another human being, and treating you as if you were lesser. Then you can point out that injustice and fight against them. You don't have to be shitty though, regardless. You make me question my worldview even without weed. I'm glad. That's what I like streaming for. I mean, there's a lot of reasons I like streaming. Oh, yeah, one of them being I just like talking to my fan base, my viewership, and just people who are generally interested in seeing what I do. But on the other hand, I like being able to sort of shake up people's reality a little bit, because I think that is fun, exciting, and also probably a good thing for some people. Hey, vnjDFQ, hope you're having a good time. Nothing matters in life is... wait, something I learned recently. Nothing matters in life is empty and meaningless. When you understand this, you get to be whatever you want within this new world of possibility. Yeah, people seem to think that that's nihilism when I say that. Oh, sorry, I can't show this on stream because I'll get in trouble. People seem to think it's nihilism when I say that reality has no intrinsic value. It doesn't mean that it is bad. Doesn't mean that it's valueless or has low or bad value. It means it has no intrinsic value. It means you get to decide what it's made of. And you can choose to play a game where it's easy and you can integrate with everybody else, and, you know, it comes with its own set of challenges, but it's pretty easy. Or you could play a game that is more fulfilling, where you get to be who you are. Who you really are, whatever that is. And you could spend your whole life trying to figure that out without being obsessed with it. Without feeling like you need to. Just chilling the fuck out and doing what you want. Until you find out who you are. And by who you are, I mean finding out your limits, finding out your strengths, finding out what you love, finding out what you hate. And seeing if you could change that. Or if you want to change that. Or if you don't want to change that, you can do whatever you want. Really, I do mean whatever you want. That scares people who like to follow orders. Because they feel like these orders, these rules must exist, right? There has to be a reason for these rules. Yeah, I mean, if you want to play that game, the rules exist for that game if you want to play it. Everything matters as long as you understand that you care only for others and that your life has no meaning without them. Yeah, well, yeah, in a grander sense, you could say that I am connected with everything in the universe. And that the space between everything is a non-existent thing. You know, space is literally non-existence. And so I am literally connected with everything in the universe. Doesn't matter how far the space is, because 12 miles of space of non-existence really doesn't make a hell of a difference with a million miles of space. That you are deeply connected with everything in this universe. You are so deeply connected with the laws of physics, with every living, breathing thing on this planet, on other planets, every single rock, plant, whatever. You are so fucking deeply connected to all of it. Are you a one-man job or do you have a team? I have a co-animator, a bunch of, you already mentioned voice actors. I have a designer, although I think he's busy now. I have a merchandise lady. I used to have a co-writer. And there were some other artists that helped me with some background sometimes. I guess you could call, some people call it optimistic nihilism. Sorta, yeah. Except, I don't even think nihilism goes that far back. It goes far enough back. I love these streams. Thank you. How do these conversations start? I don't know, but I always get them back here. Lucifer, the angel, and how he can move past the grief, like starting a war over vengeance of his family, being unable to save people. That's why he's a doctor and he has 5 bastards. Interesting. Do you think we are alone in the universe? I don't think that's too loaded of a question. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it matters so much. We aren't alone in the universe just because we're, if let's say we're the most complicated organisms in the universe. So what? We're surrounded by the universe. We are the universe. The universe is an extension of us. Or in exactly the same way, we're an extension of the universe. Isn't that exciting enough that we're all just part of this massive, highly complicated superorganism, way more complicated than all of us, because it is all of us put together. In the same way that we're just an accumulation of cells bumping and grinding up against each other to create life. Our existence on a grander scale are like those cells. It's just a consistent ecosystem that you could call a big thing. But because we can only see it from this point of view, from a human being, we say, well, that's not human. That's just an environment. Well, from our cells' perspective, we're an environment. You know? And from our sun's perspective, we're cells, essentially. You grok me? I'm trying to decondition people from all of these biases that we have. That somehow our perspective from the way we've been trained to look at the world is more valid than how the universe is without labels. Really like your shirt. Where do you get so many cool buy shirts anyway? The buy shirts. I don't know. I literally just feel it out and I'm like, that's a good shirt. And then people tell me that's a buy shirt. And it's, oh, okay. So you're gonna have to just trust your gut. I don't remember where I got this shirt from. There's like a store for fat people in my country that I go to. That's essentially where I get all my shorts and my shirts. Yes, he's high. I'm not actually high yet. I'm about to be. I just keep forgetting. Just like if the omniverse is one. It is one. It's only us humans who decide to divide things up and say, that's a planet, and that's not a planet. That's a human, that's not a human. That's an arm, and that's a leg. These aren't anything, these are just words. That's not reality. And we get so caught up in these words in our head, and in our mouths, and in our conversation, and all the people around us trying to pressure us to be more like them all the time, that we lose touch with reality. And reality isn't a thing that you can name. It just is. It just is what it is. But we are constantly labeling it and diminishing it and turning it into, how can this thing benefit me? That's all words are. They're just useful. That they have a purpose, and their purpose is to try and recontextualize reality around your ego, around your existence and your needs and your desires and fears. They aren't objectively true. He ain't high, he's enlightened. We're all enlightened. We just forget. You know? We knew all this when we were babies. And we'll definitely know all this on our deathbed. You know? So I'm not too pressed on trying to convince people that I'm... that what I'm saying is accurate or something. I think it is. But I just like talking about it. I'm not trying to proselytize. Just kind of giving up on drawing at this point. Find the prospect that we are the most complex organism in the universe and that there is no other life we can communicate with terrifying. We are the peak and yet we can't even travel. FTL, etc. Oh, faster than light, sorry. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to get better? Why do you want to create more extensions of human... I mean, you do whatever you want. You know, if that's fun for you, that's fun for you. We don't need to do that, though. We can also just chill the fuck out. We can also just stop creating new things and just help people, you know? Unless... But you could always make the argument that, oh, by creating this, we will be helping more and more people. But that's what we said at the beginning of society. And it's only gotten things rigid and authoritarian and violent and obsessed. Everyone's so obsessed with material things right now. Has been for quite a while now. And again, none of it's bad or good. There are just a very specific set of consequences to very specific lifestyles. But does objective truth really matter? That's what I'm saying. There is no objective truth. Doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that we constantly, throughout our day, forget that there is no objective truth, and that's when we get into arguments with people, and that's when we get into... that's when we get scared, that's when we get anxious, that's when we get angry, that's when we get prideful, that's when we get jealous, that's when we hurt other people, is when we forget, we suddenly pretend that there is an objective truth to reality and that you're serving it through your actions, through your anxieties, through, you know, you justify it like, well, I punched them because they pissed me off, as if you couldn't have controlled yourself, you know. This is why I don't try to pretend that this is a new knowledge, because it isn't. It's something that we remember and forget every day throughout the day. You know? When we chill out and we're just like, yeah, that's alright, nothing matters. then we're in that state of mind. And then suddenly we're in a different state of mind where it's like, no, you did this, and you deserve this. Then it's like, well, now something does matter in that moment. And that's what I mean by playing that game. You get into that game, you get out of that game. It just happens all the time. And there's no shame to it. But if you aren't aware of it, you're in less control of it. That's basically all I have to offer in that reality, is methods how to synchronize yourself with this constantly changing thing called your brain. Hey Bone, do you happen to do commissions? I know you might be busy with other things, but if you're open, I might be a prepaid card for one. Sorry, I am sort of just like full-time doing this. Bung, we have entered the chill zone a long time ago, I see. We have. God created a world without a purpose, and we give it our own special style, ever changing as like us. Yeah. The only thing that exists in reality is change. And even that changes, you know. Sometimes things stay around longer than others, and we think, where's the change? It needs to change now, and then it changes eventually. But things change all the time. That's all there is in reality. Death is just the scariest form of change that we've experienced so far, or that we will experience, rather. Take a nap. No, it's only like 9:46. Diformon? Sorry, I don't know. Oh, Diformon. I think I do know who that is, but I don't know what happened, sorry. Say my name again, lol, although this time don't say Da Vinci. Janicki. Janishki? Janichki. Janicki or Janishki or Janichki. I don't see any accents in the letters, so... And even then I don't actually know what they mean. Except for the L with the cross going through it. Official Lord Daniel. Thank you, Oz. Thank you for addressing me, my new full title. Brody McQueen, yes, that is a very good game. And it was a bit of a meme game, but it was also equally a very, very deep game. Because what Alan Watts talks about is some very, very deep shit. You know? He literally deconstructs all of reality in that game. And you can't really, you know, unless you... If you're really paying attention, it can be scary. You know? Hold on, I'm just gonna take a smoke. I'll stay around for a little bit longer. No, don't worry, this isn't spoilers. This is a homie checkpoint. You okay, bro? I'm doing just good. Doing just fine. Looks like a fancy... so this piece of yours that you're working on right now, what is it supposed to be of? Looks like a fancy sort of... some sort. Is it supposed to symbolize something? Yes, but I can't give the context to that symbolism, otherwise that will be a spoiler. What it is that it is scenery for the next confinement. It's actually one of the less complicated sceneries, but it is kind of the wobblier ones. Yeah, You see, it's difficult for me to talk and draw at the same time because I can only seem to do one at a time if I'm getting really into the drawing. I mean, into the discussion. And I do want to get into the discussion, you know? I want to be able to sometimes draw and sometimes do other shit. That's my whole thing. That's what I do every day, is that I sometimes work on confinement and then I sometimes do other things. So more or less throughout the day, trying to get at least 4 hours. Although, lately it's been closer to 3 hours. Don't know what that's been about. Yeah, enough already. I find that there's really not too much of a difference between sober me and high me, except that my memory is just a little bit better. Right, wife. Life good. Wife fight back. Kill wife. Wife gone. Think about wife. Regret. Thank you so much, Atomized Panda. Thank you so much for that meme. For reminding me of that gorilla meme. Oh, man. Much to think about. Local Buddha, get high on stream. Thank you. But we are all Buddhas. We just need to remember. The state of mind that you can call enlightenment, or a third eye opening, or just being straight up woke on a pretty intense level, it's hard to remember it because it's not how we've been trained to remember things. I remember it on a deeper level. I don't remember it on a specific categorical level. And by that I mean I don't remember words. I don't remember a lot of words or things that happened. I just remember the experience of what it was like when I was having my near-death experience. And it was really beautiful. That's all I could say, just a bunch of like poetic words. It was really blissful, it was beautiful, it was calm. And I've been like, it's been the sort of foundation of this change in my life. But now I'm just like much calmer, much happier. I've been using these powers to deal with my problems, and it's been working. It's almost like because my mind was pushed to such a state of terror and fear and willingness to die, that I was pushed the opposite direction, in which I was, depending on who I'm talking to, I use different language. I would say like I was either, I spoke to God, because that is what happened. But to you, audience, I would rather say that I was having an ego dissolution, because that's also what was happening. But I was having a very calm, peaceful ego dissolution that didn't lead to a schizophrenic episode, and that is why I say it was a spiritual experience. I mean, everything's a spiritual experience, I guess, but there's nothing special about this experience aside from the fact that, for me, it helped me get healthy. It helped me realize, holy shit, this is all a game. I can choose to let go of emotions. And it's like, obviously when I was told that as a kid, I didn't fucking believe it. I thought like, yeah, but how do I do it? How do I do it? Tell me the exact methods of how to let go of my emotions, Father. Do I just think about letting go of it? It's like, no, you just let go. Okay, but what do I say in my head? You don't say anything, you just let go. It's like, oh, but I don't know how, you know. I wasn't there. I didn't get it. Hey man, just want to say keep the good work. Thank you, Echo. Thanks for the $10. Local animator abuses his power to make life better. That's called spiritual sustenance, you know? That's the reason people go into spirituality. Well, that's one of two reasons people go into spirituality. One is to be able to manifest things that you want. Doesn't matter what you want. It could be anything. It could be a better job, better life, or, I don't know, just like a thing. Some money, a friend to talk to, a pet, whatever. And that works for a lot of people. But then there's also just doing it so that you can reach this state called enlightenment. And I'm not sure I really want to reach enlightenment, but I am kind of going in that general... I want to go in that general direction of calming my mind, and I want to see how far I can do that. I want to see how calm I can get. I want to see how still I can get. Kind of want to see just how far I can go, and just accept when I can't go any further. But I'm not going to make it an obsession, because that'll suck. How did you get so good, Bung? Was it practice, schooling, innate skill? Also, what are you using to draw? A pad or a mouse? Dun dun dun. I'm using a pad. There is no innate drawing ability. I used to believe there was. It just so happens that I wanted to do it as a kid, and I kept doing it for whatever reason, due to reasons outside of my control, maybe. That I ended up becoming quite good at it because of how much attention I spent with it and how much I enjoyed it. That's an important part, is the enjoying it part. It means that you want to get quite better at it, you know? Well, you don't want to get better at it because you want to be better. You want to just see if you can do it. You know, you're not doing it on somebody else's time, on somebody else's expectations. You are doing it. You are just simply doing it. And that's how you get good at something. So if you really want to do it, you have an advantage. If you don't want to do it, you might get good at it at an academic level, like a passable level, but if you don't want to do it, then you're not going to actually even try to push the boundaries and be creative and see what the next big thing is in that particular area. You know, a good artist is somebody who doesn't follow the rules of art. Like, it's distinctly creative, it's rebellious. It's, I want to do this because I have faith that, you know, that I trust that this is the spirit of how things are, you know? Bender arms. You really gotta feel it to stop feeling it, if that makes any sense at all. I could imagine context where that makes sense. I had this weird feeling once where I didn't feel like myself. It was like an out-of-body experience, and it only lasts for about 10 seconds. Do you know what this may have been? You might have had a disassociation. That's psychologically what it's called, but again, that is just one perspective of what happened. What happened was your own experience. You know, you had an experience. You explained what it is without any of the bias about how silly it might sound. And that's what happened. You don't have to label it. What happens in a disassociation is that something triggers you to this to the nature of reality, which is that identity isn't real, it's just an idea. And when people are exposed to that, it can freak them out a little bit. I used to have them a bit, and then I had an extremely big one during my ego dissolution. And that's when it kind of like, alright, I get it now. Thank you, bro, Lord, bro. Brung, where you from in Australia? I don't think I want to tell people that. This whole live stream gives me an out-of-body experience. Thank you, V. Thank you for the $5. That's what you're drawing right now. It looks like you're just redrawing / tracing the lines to the uninformed. Oh, well, this was a sketch. You can see how messy it is. See all these little, this, that. The sketches are drawn faster, but they sort of get the idea across. You know, I want this, this sort of boiler thing, and all these pipes sort of running up and down the walls. And they're scratchy. And so when I draw these, I'm basically redrawing them, but smoother. And so that makes it easier for me to color later, because I'm able to just fill in the areas I want to fill in and cut out the areas I want to cut out. But also it's part of the style, is to try and find a balance between how sketchy the original sketch looked and how clean the final product will look. So both of them have to kind of, it all has to happen, I guess. Although sometimes I've been pretty happy with sketches. Like, sometimes when I'm sketching, I don't know how loose and how detailed I should be, and I end up making something quite detailed, and it's like, oh, okay, shit. Well. Now, like, what state? Northern Territory. Like, all these tubes, bendy, biological, looking yet metallic tubes have just the right kind of unnerving energy. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because that was the intention, so I appreciate that. Where the monkeys are going? They're going on a date. A bad experience with spiders in Australia. Yeah, definitely. But I don't know where it all started. I have arachnophobia. But I don't remember a specific event that caused it. Maybe my child brain tried to ignore it. What is it? Suppress it? Yeah. Maybe one day I'll end up seeing a fucking spider and just the right lighting and just the right room and the right colors and whatever, and just like, oh, you know, there it is. You're the one. You're the one that started it all. You left that spider-shaped imprint in my brain. That's one thing I was kind of upset about, is after my ego death and everything kind of got smoothed out and like most of my anxiety went away, I still have a fear of spiders. Because it's completely unrelated to my identity, I guess. The existence of my identity, rather. Well, not completely unrelated, but it seems less related socially, I guess. My fear of spiders must just run deeper than all of my developed anxieties about my self-worth. So that's interesting, isn't it? That my fear of spiders is yonks above my all of the spiritual shit that I've been spewing out right now. Is that you could go back everything I said on stream and just like add like except spiders. You know? Those are fucked up. I can't deal with that. Like I might be able to I at this point in my life I feel like I'm more likely to accept my death than to accept spiders. Because at least death is unavoidable. That'll be easier to accept than if I can. How can I get away from this spider? There's got to be a way out of here. The salesman makes a deal with Connor in exchange for freedom. He has to give up his demon. That's a good theory. There is logical philosophy, and then there is self-help, sentimental rhetoric philosophy. At least I can engage with the former, while the latter resists any questioning. We must accept some axioms. What is an axiom? Let's Google that. An axiom, postulate, or assumption is a statement that is taken to be true to serve as a premise or starting point for further reasoning and arguments. Oh, I see. We don't have to do anything. If you want to play the game of philosophical debate, then yes, I will have to play by those rules. But I'm not. So this is entirely self-help. Well, and from one perspective, everything I'm doing is just self-help. It's just me realizing some things about the universe that have become very helpful to me, and I've been using it to help myself and other people around me. And just generally exert this gooey emotional thing called love, because when you exert love, more love comes your way in many psychological ways. And on the one hand, this spiritual experience and life that I live right now can be very easily interpreted in psychological analysis talk, and even quantum theory, quantum physics can add to that. But on the other hand, I also like to believe in crazy things without taking them seriously. I believe in basically everything without taking it seriously. By that I mean I don't get pissed off if I find out it isn't real. But it's fun to believe in it. Hasn't caused any harm. Doesn't cause any harm because I don't take it seriously. Because this universe isn't real. And you have to understand that when I experience what I experience, I can't go back. I'm out here. Cynical people will say I've lost my mind. And I say, yes, I have lost my mind. In that I've realized that I don't have to play this game. I don't have to pretend that there is a meaning to the universe anymore. And so that there is no intrinsic meaning to the universe, sorry. And so I believe in everything, and I don't take anything seriously, because it's all just fun. Sometimes I do take things seriously by habit. I'm trying to be more aware of that. But so logical structure, rational structure, capitalist structure, any kind of structure that human being makes, I don't take it super seriously either. I'm sorry. I take it seriously in context, you know, if somebody's like suffering or like in pain or dying, then I would like to help extend that, because, you know, they might not dig dying. They probably don't dig dying. Most people don't. But I don't have to follow any rules. I don't have to follow grammatical rules. I only follow grammatical rules when I want people to hear what I'm saying grammatically, who need to hear it grammatically correct for whatever reason. Maybe it's a job interview or something. But I don't have to pretend that it's important. I just have to acknowledge that that's just the rules of the game. Same thing happens with logical debate. Have a political debate with me. You're doing all these fallacies or whatever. And therefore you lose the debate. Because you didn't play the game right. It's like, yeah, cool. I'll play the game, but I don't have to keep playing afterwards. I have to keep playing afterwards when it's done. In the same way, I can on the one hand believe in whatever the fuck I want and everything. I can believe in literally everything in the universe. Everything everyone says in the universe, all the stories, all the myth, all the religion and spirituality. I can believe in all of that. And also not act on it and not ruin anyone's lives over it. It's not hard if you don't take any of it seriously. Like the most precious thing in the universe to me, I also don't take seriously. And the scariest, most terrible thing in the universe to me, I also don't take seriously. If you take none of it seriously, then why would you even want to think of hurting someone? You know? We are just a dream. Oh no. Yeah, life is but a dream. That's what that row your boat is about. Can you show us your nails? Yeah, yeah. Oh. Oh. See it? Yeah, just my nails. It's like clouds. When you don't play the life right, you die. I mean, is it But there are loads of people who die because they're out of their control, for reasons outside of their control. In fact, I would argue that all death is out of your control, unless it was a suicide, in which case you nailed it. I don't think a life should be judged by how long you live, because are we really going to be roasting on like miscarriages right now? You know what I mean? I thought you took spiders seriously. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. I fucking do take them seriously. That's one of my flaws. Well, not flaws. That's one of my human obsessions, is that I have a fear of spiders. That's one of the things I'm attached to still, is my fear of spiders. I've yet to figure out how to detach myself, but I have been making steps towards it. Like, I've been seeing spiders a lot more lately, and I've been like trying not to kill them. I was just like, okay, I'll just put them into a thing, and oh, it's really close to my hand, but you know, I'll still, you know, doing these little things to try and get more familiar with spiders. You feel me? Hey, good morning, Jack Bencavenja. Bencavenja? Alright, see you, Ari Dabab. JoJo referencing confinement when. If you ever put a spider in confinement, I'm a commit non-alive. I like drawing spiders and like seeing spiders and in animations and stuff. I don't like them in real life. It's all good, little Douglas. Life is a game with terrible RNG. Oh, I'm sorry, James Ab. Here you go. Here's my nails again. It's like clouds in a big blue sky, because I like the emotional metaphor of letting your strong feelings pass through you like clouds in the sky. There's a great bit in this series called Undone, starring Bob Odenkirk, where to help his daughter meditate and take control of her intense feelings, he says, be like the sky, let everything pass through you. And so she goes into this visual, the show's animated, so it goes into this crazy visual where she's like, zooms out and she's flying in the sky and there's all these clouds just passing through. It's great. It's a great show. I definitely recommend it. It's called Undone. You can find it on Amazon Prime or something, I don't know. Are there any steps to get rid of phobias? If so, how? There are many techniques to try and stop your mind from rushing and thinking and just being really intense. Try and find the one that's good for you. Meditation is one, breathing is another, yoga is another. There are loads, actually. But it's important that you find what's good for you. You have to find out what calms you down personally. Because, again, it's about you. But also, there is no cure-all. You're going to have to trust yourself. You're going to have to learn to trust yourself to find that thing. And once you find it, you can apply it, see if it works with whatever the phobia is. Just keep experimenting. But the goal, essentially, is to be able to clear your mind to the point where you can actually make decisions. Instead of just getting caught up in your reactions, you know? Like so much of our day is just our automatic reactions. And for some people, they feel like they're stuck in that cycle, and when you feel that way, you get quite depressed. So stepping outside of it, being aware of it, mindfulness is a very good technique. I think it pretty much solves most issues, psychologically speaking. Mindfulness helps you become, well, the idea is to be able to become aware of your actions and your reactions, your emotions and your thoughts, and that'll give you an advantage on being able to intercept your reactions. So that way you aren't just caught in the same loop of like, I'm going to yell at this person, I'm going to get scared and run away at this, I'm going to avoid that, I'm going to eat that, I'm going to do that, you know. All these things we just sort of naturally do throughout the day, just because we've done them before and we know they're safe, and therefore our brain locks it in as like a good thing, or a neutral thing. That's only a bad thing if it's chaotic and you've never experienced it. I'm sorry, Miss Lord, but why is it taking so long to make the episode? I'm somewhat new. No worries. Atanas Vasilev. The issue is that a long time ago, when I was working on this episode quite early on, my life kind of went a little crazy and terrible, and I was in a very dark place. And then, almost poetically, my living conditions and my housemates also experienced some very, very terrible things. And it made the entire situation of just being alive difficult. And for a very long time, I was stuck in that place. Physically and then also mentally. Even after I left, I was still mentally in there. And I simply felt like I was a slave to it, and I couldn't control this depression and anxiety and suicide ideation. And then, of course, my funny little near-death experience, my silly little ego dissolution happened. And then I reset my life, and then I just started working again. And since then, I've been working quite consistently, but even if I didn't have that break in the middle where I was trying to kill myself, these episodes just take bloody long to make. I have to draw most of it and then animate it. I also have to write it and finally be happy with it before I do any of those other things. Then I have to storyboard it, and then I have to draw based on the storyboards, and then I'm going to have to experiment. Most of it is experimental anyway. And so I end up deleting quite a lot of things that didn't work out if I could find another reason for using them. So yeah, that's a very long way of saying that shit's complicated, man. An elephant has a rope in their feet, and they won't escape, even though it is strong enough to break the rope, but it was traumatized when it was a child. It tried to break the rope. It bleeds. Yeah. Yeah. That's the power of the mind, man. That's the power of conditioning. We can all condition ourselves. We've all been conditioned so deeply to follow a certain set of rules that your parents were playing. And now, whether you like it or not, you're playing the same game that you didn't sign up for. And sometimes it's so painful and destructive and hurtful that it breaks us out of our cycle, and we realize, I don't have to do this at all. But most of us go back to the game and just play a slightly different version of the game, where it's like, let's say, for example, when I was a deeply conservative Christian when I was a young teenager, and then my sexuality became too obvious to ignore, and then I realized, why do I have to listen to my parents about this? And so I became just a slightly different version of the game that I was already playing, which was somebody who still believed in all this structure in the world and wanted to pretend that this is objectively true and objectively incorrect and objectively good, objectively bad. These are all these rules I must follow. If I don't live up to them, and I'm a terrible person, I'm lazy, and blah, blah. I was still playing the same game they were playing. I was just using different symbols. And so, I forgot what I was talking about. Sorry, I'm high. I'm a drifter going through my subscriptions. Hey, no worries, SpongeBob SquarePants. You're welcome here anytime. Can't people help you with this whole process? They do, but I do the parts that I'm in control of, which is still a lot. But I enjoy doing it. It just takes a while. Any canvas size preference you enjoy when drawing or animating? Yeah, it's usually something quite thick. I'll put one that I drew the other day. Oh man, it's actually kind of... Hold up. Here. Here's one I drew the other day. This isn't a spoiler, don't worry. So this one's 5,000 pixels wide and 3,000 pixels high. So that's for reference, sort of the ones I normally go for. This one's not so big because it's not really that detailed. Thank you for the 99 cents, Dark Shadow Wolf 29. Here to watch drawings. Why are you suddenly a hippie, man? Why are you suddenly a hippie, man? Yeah, I do what I want. Local monkey man gets high and reaches godhood. Alright, I'll just be doing this for 10 more minutes. It's like another smoke. BRB. Yes. Yes. I'd love to see the voice actors. I have the channels in the description of each video every time there are voice actors involved, which is... it's all of them. It's all of them. There, look at that triangle warning sign. Yeah, I don't know if I want to keep that there. I don't know if it looked right. Probably add like a flame sign or something. I mean, I'm literally just making up machinery as we speak. Maybe I could... one of those? Are these hazard signs? Fire Nation. When are you gonna make new SCP episodes? I'm making them right now. I've been making them for the past couple of weeks, or for the past week actually. I took a break for the holidays, but I was working on them leading up to the holidays for quite a few months. Just, you know, just letting you know that I am working. And this is free content, so just chill out. Thank you, Adam Janicki. The singer for Fine and Dandy has a beautiful voice. Yes, she does. Definitely subscribe to her, Anna Pantsu. Anna Pantsu on YouTube. She does a lot of covers of musicals, Disney songs, and some popular songs. Just finished up my new song. Made the thumbnail and everything. Really proud of it. I know it won't be perfect, but I'm proud of myself. Also, it's me, Sarah's proper account, lol. Yeah, I was tripping. Like, wait, hold up. This is another one. Hell yeah. Yeah, just link it to me whenever you want. Do you make one episode at a time and release, or a bunch before releasing? I make them one at a time. How would you describe our realm of existence in one sentence? I think a game. Game is... I've been saying game all night to describe reality and how we choose to play it. Existence itself is just... it just is. You know? We want one word to describe existence. Existence. I don't know. Existence is one side of the coin of non-existence. All of reality is made up of this polarity of existence, non-existence, you know, to all these degrees of how complicated something is versus how simple it is, all the way down to nothingness. I mean, you know, you could look at, we categorize life that way. We're the most complicated beings on this planet, and everything else is just less complicated, less big, less, just less, full stop, and therefore closer to death in a way, because death is just full stop nothingness. So all of reality is just made up of existence and a lack thereof of existence in a spectrum. You know, you could say that jellyfish are pretty close to plants in terms of how complicated they are. Therefore, they are less. There's less material, less complicated material happening in a jellyfish than a slightly more complicated fish. You know what I mean? What was your favorite part of making this show? Thanks for the £5 green blood question mark. Favorite part of making this show, I would have to say, is the part right at the start of the process where I have a bunch of paper and I am just expressing so many ideas just on the paper. You know, designs, characters, events, items, plot points, angles, camera angles, like cinematography and all that. All of that is just spewed onto paper, and then I pile up that paper, and then I go through all of these different processes, like writing and then animating and storyboarding, and the whole time I'm going back and forth between them, my job, and all the papers that was at the start of my job. Just me scribbling ideas. But that, I think, is the most fun for me because it's just raw creativity. And that is something that I really enjoy doing. And that if I wasn't doing confinement, I just go back to being some kind of artist in some degree. Does this live streaming confinement date is coming out soon? Sorry, no. I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to be patient. Привет. Hey Danny, what are some of the scrapped ideas for confinement? Well, in episode 4 with the whales, there was gonna be like a much longer segment involving the whales and sort of them fucking around with Connor. There were gonna be way more whales. There was gonna be like an underwater tunnel system, but it didn't actually add anything. It didn't make it that much more exciting, actually. And it also kind of got ridiculous because of how long he was holding his breath. So I thought, yeah, no, just that. What else? The swordsman segment when he goes inside that weird place, and the swordsman in his mind. That was going to involve more crumbling, but I didn't feel so confident in my abilities as an animator at that time. But I kind of made up for it by having this like neat segment at the start with the Salzburg. I had a lot of fun with that. So it's kind of like a give and a take. Like if I really want to do something and then I realize, oh, that's actually super unrealistic, then at least I could put energy into something else, right? Thank you for being such a chill person. You read my comment, my name is just awesome. No worries, Adam Janicki. Okay, so it's 10:30 now. Oh, it's about to be 10:30, so I'm gonna head out. Do you get hand cramps a lot? Sometimes, but I'm getting into the habit of stretching it more, especially when it does. 191 views, 1K likes. What? Yeah, actually, it's kind of like it cycles through. Like people come and they leave, and then very few people actually stay on streams in general. I mean, mine in particular are particularly small for the channel, my size, but I think that's just how it works. At least that's what this algorithm thingy is showing me on the left. You mean yes. Alright. Alright, thank you everybody so much for joining me for this stream. I hope you all have a chill and vibing day. I hope... I don't know what else to say. Just get out of here. You crazy kids. Get out of here. Hare Krishna. And goodbye.